And welcome back, everybody, to the 990 podcast. I am Jay.
I'm Ray.
Hello. How are you doing, my friend?
Good.
Awesome.
It's we're recording on a different day right now.
Yes, it is.
It's been good, man. Life's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say good news came out. I had some good news today, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, awesome, man. Well, I hope it was great news. But yeah. Anyway, one thing that we have done in the past is jump into Reddit and kind of look into some of these unpopular opinions. So that's always kind of a fun topic of conversation. Thought we'd jump in again today.
Yeah, let's get it.
For sure. All right. First and foremost, people let themselves be deceived. What do you think about that statement?
Yeah, that's true, man. That's
think-
true. I think that's true.
Okay, so hearing that off rip, people let themselves be deceived. What do you think? Like, what do you think that means?
Well, to get into the actual term, I mean, being deceived is essentially being tricked without even knowing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time. I think that happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, well, when they say people let themselves, I think
Let
sometimes,
themselves.
maybe what they mean by that is people would rather either live or hear or believe the lie versus face reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but don't people see the danger in that though?
Yes and no. I think that there is definitely a portion of the population that well, maybe they're just talking about people that are ignorant to things, where like, hey, they have no idea at all. And for them, ignorance is bliss. You know, people throw around that term quite a bit.
Yeah.
That could be true, where it's like, hey, the less I know, the better. That could be one.
Yeah.
But there's also, you know, when they say people let themselves be deceived, the way I'm reading that is like, hey, you know, maybe you think that something is not completely true, but you'd rather live the facade than deal with the consequences of the lie.
I hear you. I think when every time I see arguments online or like IG, I'd read through some comments. I'm just like, you got to put things into context, man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to miss the whole point of whatever this message is. When I think of being like deceived that way, that's why sometimes I don't have an opinion on things, or I'm not well suited to debate on something because I haven't read all the text on it. Like, I hate doing that because I don't want to get into something with someone because I haven't read all the things about it. That's how I feel with some things. And it's like being deceived with, I think it's easy to be deceived, but to let, I'm kind of confused with like, to let yourself be deceived. I don't know, that maybe that's a different, is that intentional? Is what you're...
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Do you think it's because they just want to, I don't know, not be bad, but experience something different?
Maybe. That could be it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Moving on. Doing more than 2 interviews for a job is a waste of time, even if it's a fantastic job.
Oh. Hey, man, you know what? That's actually pretty interesting. Okay, so I think 2 interviews are actually good. I think
did you have 2 interviews when you got the job that you had?
Yeah, I went through multiple interviews actually.
Multiple.
So I think 2 is a good number. I think 1 interview you definitely have to screen. So you have to make sure that your candidate pool, you're selecting from the best out of your candidate pool. So I think that first interview is going to pre-screen that. But I also think that once you make it to a second interview, you can really get into determining, is this a good fit for this company or for this job, right? So I'm a big proponent of that. I think once you start getting to the 3rd, 4th interviews and, you know, starts getting a little pretentious, honestly. If you're going through that many hoops and then maybe someone say like, well, actually, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm like, bro, you just wasted my time, man.
Exactly.
You know, like
then again, we need to understand what company this is.
No, yeah,
if
that's
it's
true.
If it's a small company, and then if you're working in fast food, maybe one's good enough.
I know, right? You're working for like NASA or the NSA, then maybe you got to pre-screen a little bit more, right?
Maybe,
But Mickey D's, I think you're good, bro. Can you work on Monday?
Yeah, you're in. What's one off the top of your head? What's a good interview question to like weed out the bet? You know, Like, what's your, if you were, heading a company, Jay, or you're doing the interviews,
Yep.
what's a question you would ask to be like, okay, let's weed out this group?
This is such a generic question.
Okay.
So generic. But honestly, like something as simple as what do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? That's always interesting. So, I mean, again, if it's a part-time job bagging groceries, I don't know if somebody's going to be like, oh,
Right.
you're still here, you know, or maybe like, I'm going to be running this piece, you know, like, I don't know, but it kind of will speak to what your ambitions are.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
great
like,
point.
so
Yeah.
if I'm
like
hiring
that.
like a high school kid for a part-time job, he's not gonna be here in 5 years. But I want to know what he plans on doing. You know what I mean? Like, if I hire you
that's so
now,
good. Yeah.
what are you planning on doing in 5 years? You're gonna be in college. You're gonna be like, you know, doing something completely different.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a corporate setting or something where you're looking for a long-term commitment, yeah, I want to see like, hey, if you're starting here, where do you plan on going from there? Like, you want my job? Okay, awesome. Now we can talk. You know.
You know what the deal breaker for me is? If
What is
the
that?
response, oh, I don't know.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
Get out of here.
See ya.
There's this guy who been trying to get into NASA for like the
Okay.
longest time to be an astronaut.
Okay.
And he would get like close, but they would never call him back. And it's been going on for like years and years.
Is this the movie?
I don't know.
Oh,
This is from a book.
Okay.
I forgot what it's called. What movie you're talking about?
Michael Pena. He was in a movie. He worked in the fields. He was a Mexican immigrant.
He is.
Yeah. They made a movie.
Oh, that's crazy.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah. It was actually, I forget the movie's name. It was a decent movie. It's a
That's
feel
awesome.
good. It's a feel good movie.
Yeah.
It's not one of those where you're just gonna be like, oh, you know, like it's not earth shattering, but it's definitely a feel good and inspiring movie.
Yes.
But same thing. Yeah. He just kept going. Did not take no for an answer.
Yeah, and one of the things now that people ask, or the biggest learn that this author got was like, if you're interviewing someone, you don't look at the accolades that they have. You look at the trials and tribulations that they went through.
Absolutely.
Whether it's cultural or financial, whatever it is, you look at that and how they face adversity. That's what you base it on.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was so good.
Love it. Love it.
All right, what's your next one, Ron?
This one's near and dear to me. People who say we don't deserve dogs are completely misguided at best, idiots at worst. Ooh, ouch. Well, hey man, I got 2 dogs, and I will tell you right now that these are my children. Yeah. I mean, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I have 2 daughters, and they are my dogs, Farrah and Penny. So this might not pertain to me. It's hard, right? So I've heard different things where usually people that do not have human children, you know, will claim that the animal is like their kid, and then you know, I've heard that once they become parents themselves, perspectives change on that, and they might change their tune because they'll realize like, well, you know, actually, you know, the love for a baby is different than the love for a dog. I completely understand that sentiment. And I don't know, you know, I don't have anything relevant to be able to argue that things will change. But for me personally, when I say we don't deserve dogs, I just think of the animal as a whole, that when you just talk about selfless love, you know, and maybe that's not even the emotion that they're feeling. Maybe that's what we're creating in our minds to just kind of think like, okay, this is how they show loyalty. But when it just comes to like how, you know, simple and pure, I guess, what we perceive love from dogs are, it's unparalleled. You know, I can't think of another species that really will just forgive, number one, but also, you know, protect, be loyal, show affection, you know, like I really do feel like, you know, they are empaths. They can read emotions. They know when you're happy, when you're sad. So yeah, I've never really been much of a pet owner outside of dogs, you know, not much other animals in my life, but for me, owning dogs have been just a transcending experience. I know that sounds really, really heavy, but truthfully, like, my dogs have gotten me through very hard points in my life, you know, and so no, we're not idiots. We're not misguided. We don't deserve dogs.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
I agree. I mean, it's funny though, because I didn't grow up with like a dog in my childhood, but when Joss had the miscarriage, she really wanted companionship.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we got Cubone.
Yeah.
And during that, like, Cubone's such a good dog. He's a rescue from Guam.
Yeah.
I have a different understanding now, or view on dogs after that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do understand like that. I don't know if I'm wording this right, but it's a different type of love with animals, because in my head, and I don't want to piss off anyone, and I think this is where maybe I may need to take some time on how to explain this, but I do see there's different, maybe there is different values with a life and a dog, but what I'm saying is that dogs are just like such valuable and such wonderful gifts from God. Like I feel like
they're amazing companions.
They're amazing. Like we love Cubone a lot, and like they're, like you said, like it's like when your dog has been with you through certain things, it's different. It hits a different spot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it hits a different spot.
Definitely.
Joss's family has a mixed pit that recently passed. And he's a family member. It was tough because that dog's been Sam's been with them for like ever. And they're family members, man. I don't know how else to.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So that's where we're at.
What you got?
All right, I got this one. There are too many options for jeans.
For jeans. Ooh. You know, it's so interesting. Like, there was one point in my life where I wore jeans every day, and like it was literally, I could not have enough pairs. Now,
Really?
I don't find them comfortable at all. You know what I mean? Don't get. I love the look. I love the look. You know, for what I do, wearing jeans would not really fit in to the type of work I do, and when I'm not working, I want to be comfortable. So, you know, wearing rigid, heavy ounce Japanese denim, raw denim, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looks dope, but I'm not in that point in my life anymore.
Yeah.
So when people say that there's too many options, I think that to each his own. Like I love the different fits that they have, but I also do think like it kind of floods the marketplace as far as there are a lot of options. And maybe you gotta kind of look at like the different looks, the different types of body types, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for somebody that actually used to sell jeans for a living, man, there are sometimes too many options for sure.
Yeah, I think it goes by the current trend as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have tapered jeans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny? Okay, so I will get them tapered.
Okay.
Usually, the fit that I usually will go is either. Okay, this is really funny. So I'm not a skinny guy, but I always get skinny jeans.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's because my legs are skinny, but I like the stacking that skinny jeans provides. So, you know, usually because I have a larger waist, what they consider skinny isn't that skinny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're like size 28 waist, it's gonna be a skinny fit.
Yeah.
But if you're size 34, it's not nearly as skinny. It starts tapering, it starts the leg gets a little bit wider. So, you know, there's definitely that. I kind of find it funny that baggy is an actual fit now, right? Where that was actually such a huge thing in the 90s, and then it just went slim, and then from slim we went straight up skinny, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, whenever I'm looking for something, I'll try to try it on, because I'm not looking for skin tight by any means.
Yeah, sure.
By any means. But I noticed that when I buy a slim, it's still too baggy for me most times.
I hear you.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because like that stacking you're talking about, I like that look.
Yeah.
You have to have wide enough like ankle area to make the stack look nice. Because otherwise it would just look like tapered, and then it's all like crumpled at the bottom.
Yeah. Well,
So there's a.
And then with jeans too, it's kind of in particular, right? Like you can pinroll them. If you got the selvage, you definitely want to flip up that cuff to show that stripe. Yeah, all of those things. So yeah, those things matter. So I
100%. I
get it, but sometimes it gets kind of confusing because there are so many different options.
It's so funny because like there's so many options, but then I feel like they still haven't gotten the ones for like a short guy.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean,
There's a few companies that do it, but
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny. They're like, "Whoa, 27 inseams actually.
yeah.
That's actually an option. Good to you.
yeah.
Thank you."
So there's Uniqlo.
Yeah.
When you buy online or in store, you can get them
I
hemmed.
heard
yeah,
that
for free.
Yep.
Depending on the type of you want an invisible hem or a visible hem. Visibles are free. The invisible ones you got to pay.
Yeah.
But that's a good one for people that want
Hey.
different inseam.
Like
So,
it. Like
yeah.
it. All right.
What's
let's
the next
see
one,
here.
Ro?
Hey, traveling does not make you unique or interesting or enlightened. Wow, that sounds someone jaded that doesn't travel. Okay, so
Yeah.
this seems a little bit loaded right over here. But with that said, yeah, I mean that could be true. I mean that might be an unpopular opinion, but I think you can travel to places and not be intentional. Maybe you just want to go and explore and dive into what that place has to offer, whether it's cultural, whether it's historical, you know, see the sights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some people that just go and just, want to just escape life and, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I've always thought if you're going to go someplace like a destination place, like you should be going there with some appreciation, number one, to the culture that you're visiting.
Hey,
But number two, like, maybe have some type of agenda of learning like about the place that you're visiting. If you're just going to go there to get drunk, like you can do that down the street.
Seriously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's maybe what they're talking about. So
maybe
I understand that statement.
There's an IG post where there's a certain place in Japan. It's like a walk where geishas are.
Yeah.
And they said it was banned for like a little.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, guys, like, what are you guys doing? Like,
I think he's got drunk Americans just hassling the girls.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing, but I was
Yeah.
like, bro, there's got to be some dumb people that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I mean, I think it was in Kyoto. Kyoto is one of those very unique places where you will literally see people in business suits walking next to people in kimonos.
yeah, that's crazy.
Very, very
Yeah.
crazy juxtaposition there.
Yeah.
And with that said, unless you have a genuine cultural appreciation, some people might think that's strange. But then, if that's the case, why are you in Japan?
Yeah, I know. Can you read the last part of the unpopular opinion? The portion?
Yeah.
The people that
okay.
travel.
Yeah, rather it means you have wealth to pursue a cookie cutter consumer activity that lets the uninspired put and buy the air of leading an interesting life. If it's your whole persona, you probably aren't very interesting. Selfish, perhaps.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And again, right? So, are you going there for memories? Or are you going there to go flex on Instagram?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking like, man, I got to get this photo and caption off, like,
Bro. So, when we went to Japan, the
you hardly
Sakura
posted.
list-
You hardly posted.
A little bit. Yeah.
But I think because you were there with the intention of I want to see
Spend
things
with
and do
family.
things, right?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
here to blow up my Instagram feed.
Yeah, well, there was the sakura trees, right?
Yeah.
They were blooming, but when we went, it was late.
Okay.
When we went to one park, I think it was Shinagawa National Park or something. There was one tree that was blooming. I don't know if I
Nice.
talked about this.
No, you didn't.
But you see, everyone was on that
Awesome.
tree. But there was one. My friend was like, there was one couple that was there for like 30, 40 minutes just trying to get a shot. I'm like, isn't that? I think about that. I'm like, well, isn't that too long? Like, what are you trying to get here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. Maybe some guys are perfectionists and like that stuff. So
There you go.
I don't know.
All right.
All right, I got a weird one for you.
Okay.
The skin is the best part of the salmon.
Skin is the best part of salmon.
That's an unpopular opinion, I think.
Well, you know what? This is funny because salmon is my favorite fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Like bakes.
I love all types of salmon. So like salmon,
That's
like salmon nigiri. I love salmon poke. That's my favorite. So I know. Blasphemous. Everybody says ahi, right? But I prefer salmon.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
I think salmon is the perfect amount of just the meat and then the fatty components of salmon. It's
a good ratio.
It's good ratio. So I love the flavor. It's a little oily, but for whatever reason, I just feel healthy eating it.
Maybe that's why it's favorite.
Maybe that's why. But the skin in particular,
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best part. I love the skin when it's crispy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
so
crispy.
Yeah. If you put that in the air fryer, let that thing crisp up. It's really good.
Oh yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
But
I'm thinking about what you can the possibilities with the butane gas or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they do it like live, it's like shucks. You just
Yep.
oven bake it and then do that.
There you go.
That's perfect.
Do you like salmon?
Yeah, I love salmon.
Okay.
Apparently it's one of the easier things to bake because
Yeah.
you just throw them in and put. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't know. Only because Joss makes them. Like
Oh,
she
okay.
likes to cook.
Gotcha.
But yeah, salmon. You know what? These days I order more salmon than spicy tuna at shops. I don't know why. I don't know. You like yours with onions on top?
Yeah, I like it all.
Yeah.
I'm just a salmon fan.
Salmon.
There
yeah.
you go.
Okay. What you got for me, bro?
All right, man. You are not responsible for other people's emotions.
I see some toxic, behavior.
Okay, well,
with,
off first listen. What do you think about that? You're not responsible for other people's emotions.
the first person I think of.
Yeah.
The kind sister.
The kind sister. Who's the kind?
The
don't.
bear.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be somebody we
Come
know.
on.
I'm like,
No,
who's
no,
the
no,
kind?
no, 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 no. What's her name? It's
Carmi's sister.
Carmi's sister, right?
Yeah.
During that episode with the family dinner.
Yes.
I'm just thinking of that person.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we all know someone like that. We all do.
I think so.
I think most people in general have the intention of not hurting people's feelings or emotions. So I can see that this is a multifaceted question here. You're not responsible for other people's emotions.
Yeah.
I want to say it really kind of depends on how you prioritize the way that you not just speak to people, but how you prioritize your relationship and the type of relationship that you have with people. So
Yeah.
I might get in trouble. This might be an unpopular opinion here, but for me,
Okay.
when it comes to the people that I care about and I love, then yes, I do feel responsible for the emotions. Like I do feel like, they may react a certain way if I say this or do this. So
Okay.
therefore, I do feel responsible for that.
Mm.
When it comes to people that I do not know that have no impact on my life whatsoever, I don't.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of a hard no for me.
Yeah.
Do I go out of my way to upset people? No. But
Yeah.
if I have an opinion and I feel strongly about it and I feel like I'm I'm entitled to express that opinion, yeah, I'm gonna say it. And if you have a problem with that, then sucks to suck. I
Right,
mean, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, I think we've discussed this in the past, but that seems to be getting people into a lot of trouble lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you do got to be aware of the climate, and you do have to be aware of sensitivities. But I guess for me, it's like if I'm not going out of my way to disturb anybody's peace,
Yeah.
then are you going out of your way to be disturbed?
Yeah.
Does that
yeah,
make
yeah.
sense?
No, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So to clarify with Carmi's sister, for people that haven't watched The Bear, Carmi's sister, they just tell her like, don't ask mom how she's doing.
Yes.
And what I was explaining earlier was like, I see toxic people like that is that people just want to ask people so that they can feel better about themselves in a sense. Yeah. And so that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, but like you said, if we don't have a relationship, like sucks to suck.
What you got?
Let's see. Hot dogs are greater than burgers. This one's a preference, so
It's a preference.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will go
What's
as
yours?
far as saying that Costco hot dogs are the best thing
hey,
ever.
come on, man.
I love it, man.
Come on.
well, number one is a deal, right? But number two, it's just delicious.
Yo,
Something about like just a Costco hot dog and then condiments that have been sitting outside for like hours unrefrigerated is just delicious.
if there's one thing that's timeless and that you can count on, it's that the price will never change.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Right? Yeah, I know, right?
$150, man. It's been like that for years.
Yeah, and that and the
Years.
chicken, right?
Yeah.
The rotisserie chicken.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what they said too?
Something like that.
I was kind of displeased when they changed the price for the salad. Salads is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
From that
Okay,
thing.
gotcha.
And I don't eat salad.
Amen.
So when they raised it, I think it's like $7 now. It's
Yeah.
still a deal.
It is.
It's still
It
a
is.
deal.
But
Yeah.
with all that said, let's be real here. You can't beat the burger, man. Come on, son.
That's
Like
true.
I mean, like okay. So put it this way: I will eat I will eat burgers weekly. I ain't eating hot dogs weekly.
yeah.
Like if I eat hot dogs once a month, like it's a good month, but I mean,
Right,
I ain't
right.
craving it. Does that make sense?
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
but like I mean, I'm always appreciative of a home cooked burger. But if not, then yeah, man,
we hitting up Costco.
something. I mean, like what's your favorite fast food burger?
Fast food.
Yeah.
Hey man, when the season's out,
Yeah.
uh, the mushroom Swiss cheese from
Okay.
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Mushroom Swiss.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Got
what-
it.
Yep. Fast food. Fast
Yeah,
food one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is kind of funny, but because not everybody agrees with this.
Okay.
I believe that the Whopper is a superior burger
Really?
than anything that McDonald's
Oh
has.
man, I might have to hit this out today.
I
But there's there's no real Burger King. Like there's not many of them around.
Not as much. There's definitely more McDonald's and Burger Kings around, but I'm a big Burger King guy, man. I'm like BK all day.
Is it the bread?
I don't know what it is. I think it's just the combination of just the patty itself and the veggies, but it's just a better tasting burger in my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, I know a lot of
Compared
people,
to the what?
compared to the Big Mac, I think
Okay,
that's
okay.
probably the two. Those are the titans, right?
Yeah.
You can say the Jumbo Jack. Jumbo Jack's okay, but
I like Jumbo Jack. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
for me, it's the Whopper.
Yeah. You know what? Big Mac's been sloppy lately, man.
Yeah. Oh,
I
dude.
don't know.
McDonald's got quality control.
Quality
You
control.
gotta put in 2 interviews to get a job there. Now, too many single interviews for McDonald's. I think, huh?
True.
Tying into the food thing. Okay, here.
Yeah.
Movie theater popcorn is gross.
It depends what's. I've never had gross popcorn before.
Okay, so in theory, disgusting. Okay, but I love it.
Ooh, you toxic
yeah,
Dale.
yeah, man. Okay, so movie theater popcorn to me is like fast food fries, where like,
Yeah.
do you really, like when you think about it, halfway through, you're like, oh, this is gross.
I've never thought that.
No, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like for me, sometimes I'm eating the fries, and I'm like, man, I don't even want to eat all this. Same thing with theater popcorn, right? But that first initial taste, it's just the best thing ever, and I love movie theater popcorn when it's fresh. I don't like the stale stuff. Like when you're like in the theater and you're just waiting, you're like, oh man, this guy just come on, give me a fresh batch.
Yeah.
When you
Right.
see them scooping from what's there, you're like,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I love the I love the movie theater butter. I like how they have their own dispensers now, so people don't get.
Do they?
Yeah, because
Wow.
I saturate that. I saturate it, man. I'm so gross, and then like I'm embarrassed. Like when they used to like put the butter on before, I'd be like, I can put a little bit more.
No, sorry, this isn't Subway.
Yeah, they're like, actually, sir, I'm concerned for your health.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about prices though. Dude, what are like $10? 15?
Yeah, so
Jeez.
it's crazy, right? This is how gluttonous we are, right? If you get a large, you get a free refill. You almost have to do it just to justify the price, right?
Yeah.
It's stupid. And now, like, I think the certain theaters are probably cracking down on this, but I know at Mililani at least, you can get the large and you can pull the tab and you can get your refill in the moment. So now you got 2 larges and you're like, hey, what's up?
These are your Monday hacks, guys.
Exactly. That's what I usually try to do. And now I'm walking around like an idiot with 2 bags of popcorn, right? They're like, will anybody
me,
else be
sir.
joining you, sir? Nope, just me.
Shouts out Milani.
There you go.
Oh, this one's super unpopular.
Okay.
I hate Keanu Reeves.
Bro, what?
Yeah, that's unpopular, man.
Okay.
Hold on, let me read this.
Yeah,
Let me
please.
read this.
I need context.
Yes, he has done many amazing movies. Personally, Matrix series is one of my top favorites, but I don't get the too much hype around him. I mean, yeah, he had it rough growing up, and definitely he's talented, but people go excessively crazy about him. I don't know, maybe I just don't like him. You just don't like
Sounds like it.
You sound like a hater, bro.
Yeah. I mean, do you like Keanu Reeves?
Yeah. Who doesn't like this guy?
Okay, so obviously don't know him personally, right?
Sure.
I mean, we tend to idolize celebrities and put them on these pedestals, and obviously I do not know this person personally, but with that said, from what I have heard, just from what I've heard, from what the interwebs has provided,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves just seems to be a stand-up dude in general.
Yeah.
He has done countless amounts of things for the people that he works with, and supposedly treats everyone on set from the director down all the way into the craft food service people with respect. And everyone just says he's a nice guy. You don't hear anybody complaining about Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Octavia Spencer, you know that actress?
No.
She's a big time actress. Octavia Spencer, she has this amazing story that she shared. So when she moved to Hollywood, she just decided she wanted to be an actress. Drove in, I don't know where she was from, but she just had a old broken down car.
Yeah.
This is years ago. She actually broke down on the side of the freeway.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Randomly, Keanu Reeves. And anybody else, you'd be like, whatever, this is a lie, right?
Yeah.
This is coming from somebody that does not need to lie about this. She is world famous actress.
Yeah.
Okay. Keanu Reeves supposedly stopped by and helped her, and then got her, made sure that they called for a tow truck and everything, and he basically, complete stranger, helped her out. And then come to find out that she was an aspiring actress, yada yada yada. They formed a friendship, and then basically met up. To this day, she attends every one of his movie premieres.
Wow.
Okay, this is an A-list actress that only just remembers how kind he was.
Yeah.
And that's why she just supports everything that he does. And they're friends to this day.
That's wild.
And that's super dope. And, when you hear stories like that, you're like, dude, how can anybody hate somebody like that?
I don't know, man. I like, what? I don't know.
So there's that. And then on the personal fanboy side, I'm just big on, I just love the John Wick series. I love the Matrix, don't get me wrong. Got really weird towards the end. But I mean, 4 John Wicks in and I'm still sold. I love that series. But you know what I really appreciate? I appreciate that he understands his limitations as an actor, but the way he makes up for it is his preparation for roles. Okay. So if he knows hey, I'm not that thespian, I'm not gonna be, you got to hear this guy's British accent. It's the worst ever.
Oh, yeah.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, worst ever. But with that said, him being self-aware that he might not be the strongest maybe actor in that sense, the guy prepares for the physicality of a role.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you see this guy training, whether it's jiu-jitsu, martial arts, his gun training is unparalleled. He trains with Terran Tactical and if you watch videos on YouTube, watching this guy shoot live rounds, this guy is a problem. You ever get a firearm in Keanu Reeves' hands? If the world goes to shit and the apocalypse happens, you get some firearms in that guy's hands, you're following that man into battle. That guy knows what he's doing. Given battle tested is completely different versus on set, but he knows what he's doing. So,
well, I think you were the one that told me that Keanu actually created. Well, what's it called?
The way that he So he created it. He thought it looked cool, and actually people have been following that technique. So the way that he reloads has actually I don't think he's patented it by any means. And if you're a purist, you might look at it and be like, oh, that's all for show. But for whatever reason, it's much more efficient. And a lot of people, if you watch movies, have adapted the way that he reloads, which is kind of a whip of the hand. He flicks his wrist and then will drop the mag, put in a new magazine. So it's kind of crazy, but he knows what he's doing. I appreciate that as a fan.
That's an unpopular opinion. Yeah, no, it's nuts.
For sure. Okay, let's see here. The Olympics are boring and overcovered.
Oh, I don't know, man. The Olympics.
I personally think that there are too many events at the Olympics.
No,
I do think that it's good to have a variety of sports, obviously.
Yeah.
And I know we're coming from a very America-centric view because we're Team America, right? But at the same time, there are other world sports that might not be as big in America that are represented at the games. I just think they're boring. I don't know. I mean, for me personally, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't need to see curling, bro. I want to watch us snowboarding. You know what I mean? Let's get more coverage on the pipe. I don't want to see curling right now. Let's see hockey. There's merit to every single sport and event, and I know people train their entire lives for it. But when they say it's overhyped, I don't think it's overhyped. I think it is definitely something to be excited about, only because it happens, every so often. It's not like an annual thing here, but yeah, sometimes the coverage is just a little bit unreal,
Too
where you're
much.
like, it's 24 hours of just sports that sometimes are really exciting, sometimes not so much, personally speaking.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a preference of the winter or summer games?
I don't really watch too much Olympics,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah.
Did you see the roster for the men's basketball?
I did. I
Bro,
did. I
stacked,
did. They're stacked. I don't know what the competition is. I don't really follow. But I know. I mean, the big news is that Kyrie Irving wasn't invited.
I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for I think views like Kyrie will.
Well,
Put on a show.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of politics that goes into it, unfortunately, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
same thing, right? Where, again, don't know the guy. I know that.
Right.
I know a lot of people think that he has controversial takes. Personally, I
Yeah.
think that, he's right in some of those things. Maybe not the flat Earth stuff, but other than that, like, he's just got a very diverse thought, and it is what it is. But I know that doesn't play well to a world audience sometimes, right?
Yeah, sure. I just don't know why he was invited. I mean, I've seen the roster, and I'm like, I think there were some guys I would have replaced.
Yeah.
But apparently, they were invited versus doing tryouts now this year.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I got this one for you. Super white shoes look weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So I think white might look weird is because if it's super white, there's no texture to it because it's so white and it just blends in too well.
Yeah.
I think that's why it might look weird. So I'm not too far off with this statement. Yeah.
So, personal opinion. Definitely, maybe unpopular opinion. I've never liked the look of all white shoes. Have I owned pairs of all white shoes? Absolutely. That was like the biggest thing, I think, back when I was in like maybe 9th, 10th grade. In the late 90s. No, I think I had I want to say I had like white Adidas or like, I think, if you even to this day, if you wear white Chucks, you can make it work. You know what I mean? But when I think of like F1s, like lows, when I think of like all whites like that, like the classic Air Force ones, it's never been my bag because of that. What you said, it's just the midsole, it just blends straight up into the
flat.
upper, right?
Yeah, there's no texture.
And then there's also the idea that like, okay, now I got to keep them this white. So for me, I like a little age on my shoes. Okay. So with that said, like it defeats the purpose of having an all white shoe, right?
Right.
Those are the types of shoes that you're supposed to. People pride themselves on keeping them crispy, and like the moment they get a little bit of dirt on them or stain, they're ruined. And I'm like, that's not practical at all.
Yeah.
But I also understand the merit of when it's that white and it gets dirty, it looks kind of ass. You know what I mean? So,
even if it's just one scuff.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm not that careful with my shoes. So I've never been that type of dude.
Right.
On the flip side, I'm not into all black shoes either, bro. Like, I need a little bit more depth to the palette.
Yep. Even the what was it? The black authentic. They have the Vans. Even that one's kind of hard to pull off. One of the only reasons I would use them is because they have that rubber lining. Yeah. So that kind of separates it.
It does.
And then you got the logo, which is stitched.
Yep.
So there's a little, but if it was all like dark, all black, that would be tough. Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see here. Educated people are cooler to hang out with.
I wouldn't say cool. I mean, depends who this education person is. Only because sometimes they might intentionally throw information out to sound cooler or to stand out. But then there are people who are like, they're just explaining things in a nonchalant way, and and you learn something from them, like, that's cool.
I think you gotta put some parameters on this. When you say educated, like, do you mean book smart? Because I know some book smart people that are not that cool to hang out with at all. Like,
yeah.
I mean, to the point where, like you said, where they're just trying to flex knowledge, and you know that, like when it gets to the point where someone's trying to show how much they know or show how little you know, that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
But educated could just mean experienced.
True.
You know,
Yep.
you could just have a lot of life experiences, and that could be the funnest person to hang out with because they
Right.
just know a lot about everything. That's kind of dope too. So
Yeah.
I think you got to be a little bit more you got to be a little bit more clear on what you mean by educated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. What you got?
Okay, here's one. A canned Coke.
Okay.
Let me read this right. A can of Coke
Mhm.
tastes better than a bottle of Coke.
Well, okay, so glass bottle Coke, I've only had maybe a handful of times
Oh,
in my
okay.
life.
Yeah.
I would assume that the glass tastes better based off of my experience with beer.
Okay.
Okay. Like there's just something for me. It's all about the temperature, right? So
Yeah.
can you get glass colder than aluminum? Probably. So
Mm.
if you get something really icy and you put it in the like a can versus a glass in a bucket of ice, you're gonna always win with the glass, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Sure.
I think it just holds the carbonation in better.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about plastic bottle, I don't know. I've had some pretty good Coke cans, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's that's undebatable for my side. I think
Yeah.
the glass Coke
The
is
glass. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it tastes fresher. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Do you prefer canned or fountain drink though?
Maybe can the fountain drinks only because of consistency.
Yeah,
you never know how.
100%, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like sometimes that thing's watered down, sometimes the carbonation is
Yeah.
not right.
Unless it's from McDonald's. I've heard they use not. I feel like they use something, or they always keep it carbonated.
Interesting.
That's why it's always like it has that carbonation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do a few more.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's see here. A little bit of recession in men's hair looks good, and most men ruin their hair with transplants.
Dude, there's this one hairstyle that I've seen recently.
Mhm.
It's just recessed like all the way back, because they
Okay.
can't. But then they fade it into the back, if that makes sense.
What you mean?
So like, they have hair in the back,
Okay.
but it's like nicely tapered,
Okay.
and it fades into the front. Like I don't know if that makes
Oh,
sense.
interesting.
And
Like
that's
to push the hair forward.
Well, no, it's just like bald head or
Okay,
short,
okay.
super short hair,
Okay.
but it fades into. They're doing like fades on both sides.
Oh,
if that makes
interesting.
sense.
And then the
Yeah.
mid part's long.
No, it's just like
Oh, okay.
yeah. I gotta show you a photo.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've seen a lot of transplants these days. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Well, it's all happening in Turkey.
Turkey, yeah.
Is that funny? Like,
Yeah, I
talk
wonder
about freaking,
why.
algorithms. I'm getting some of those ads on. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you trying to say, Instagram?
Hey man, they capitalized on it. Now they're the biggest
Yeah.
transplant people.
Fun fact: one of my biggest phobias when I was growing up was that I was losing my hair.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Talk
So,
to me about that.
they always say it's gonna be on your mother's side. I think your mother's father or
Okay.
something like that. I don't know how true that is. And I was thinking like my grandpa was bald, like or not bald, but he had thinning hair.
Okay.
So I've always kind of been waiting for the shoe to drop. I mean,
Mm.
has my hair thinned out since I was younger? Oh, definitely. But
Yeah.
I've also have friends that have just gone bald. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there's that, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm in an interesting place where I do feel like it's definitely thin and noticeable. So I had to find the right length of hair
Hmm.
that I can kind of disguise it a bit. Where
Sure.
like I think if I grew it out longer, it would probably be less noticeable, but it
Okay.
would also be a hairstyle that is harder to maintain. So I've kind of gotten to a point where the current length of my hair, it's able to really at least appear that my
Present
hair is
itself as
exactly.
Interesting.
But at the same time, I am thankful that I still have hair, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I that's not something that everybody has the luxury of having.
Sure.
Especially some people, they go premature really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. You still got a lot of hair, bro. You're good.
I mean, when you're talking about it, you probably know
Yeah.
how much it's thinned.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. Like I'm noticing now. Like this is one of the when it gets longer, it's less noticeable that
Yeah.
I'm thinning out
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatnot. So funny because I was driving here and my hair was part, but then you could see like two white hairs sticking out. It's coming on the front now, and it's
Yeah.
like I was like, huh, this is interesting.
Yeah, hey,
And
man.
then I thought a little deeper, and I was like, how insecure should I be about this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the question is, a little bit of recession, men's hair looks good. So again, I mean, I'm not checking out other dudes to analyze, but I do think there is some merit in just aging gracefully,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Some gray hairs are earned.
Yeah.
Once you get to a certain age, like I do believe that when people find people attractive, there is a component that is always going to be physical,
Sure.
but also it's a lot of it has to do with the way that they carry themselves, right?
Yeah.
So you can have somebody that's got maybe some thinning hair, Jason Statham, that everybody's gonna be like, that dude's a stud.
Yep.
You know why? Because the way he carries himself with confidence, right?
Right.
So it is what it is, right? But
Yeah.
I don't think there's that much of a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I'll do one more, and then you can close it out.
Yeah, man.
Drugs aren't cool.
Drugs aren't cool.
Let me read this.
Please do.
I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I have seen a growing sentiment on the internet about the recreational use of drugs. And truth be told, I really don't get it. But what ATP? You can still have fun and not have any alcohol or drugs with you. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's an escape, and it's really only done to put you in a different headspace.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting take, huh?
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Have you gone through your life being drug free?
Yes.
Yes. I was just assuming that.
Yeah.
Am I gonna get in trouble right now?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I probably would have mentioned it if I had or not.
Yeah.
But what do you call? Actually, maybe not. I don't know. But I mean, same thing with drinking. Like I think I mentioned this, but I only started drinking after 20. I think it was like 22 or something. It just didn't seem, for the same reason with drugs, just didn't seem, I don't know, something like I'd enjoy.
Got it.
So I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that's I've got two minds on this. Number one, I feel like if you can go through your entire life being drug and alcohol free, well, alcohol's a drug. I don't know why we act like alcohol isn't a drug. It is a drug.
Okay,
so if you can get going through life like drug free, quote unquote, that's awesome.
Right.
I think that is something to be proud of. But at the same time, I don't think it should be frowned upon if people have used or experimented with drugs. I think that what's sad is, like any type of addiction, drugs are one of those things where it's a slippery slope. You can definitely become addicted to drugs. And I think that if it goes past recreation and it goes into heavy usage, it can definitely derail your life. But with that said, like sometimes when people just want two things, you do drugs as a release, you do drugs as an escape, you do drugs as a distraction. Sometimes you just do it to just have fun. And as someone who has done drugs and has drank before, the fun element of it for me, I've had great times. I can honestly say that. Has it gotten out of control before? Absolutely. And there are regrets to that.
Sure.
So, I don't know how you tell somebody when they're going through it, like, hey, you got to dial back, and, keep it in moderation and keep it in perspective. But again, I've had a lot of fun times. So I can't say anything really, really negative. But I see the potential for it. What's really interesting, something that's interesting for me is some of these drugs now, like DMT, and you talk about drugs that are supposedly can unlock your mind, right? There's a big curiosity that I have with that. I don't know if I have the courage to dabble in that, because it is a kind of a scary thought, because it's a lot of unknown, and and people use it therapeutically, and I've heard some amazing things where they're able to kind of discover or unlock or treat trauma with the use of these drugs. So I do think that there is some merit to that. So again, you gotta kind of, I'm a little bit back and forth. You gotta find a balance, right? Just don't let it control your life. There you go.
That's crazy.
You know, I'm gonna do 2 because I
Let's
gotta
do it.
I gotta put this one in.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is hilarious. So this one's from my wife. Tom Cruise was a better actor when he was young. So we talked about themes that follow us throughout the podcast, and I want to say shopping carts and freaking Tom Cruise are the 2 things
Cruise,
that seems
man.
to pop up every single episode.
Whoa, just imagine if we somehow randomly
Yeah,
were able to get Tom Cruise on the podcast.
never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen.
If
But-
if it did, there are so many questions that I would ask, and I'm sure my wife would not want that filmed here because she would be like, "Get this man out of my house right now." I don't know I can't explain the disdain that she has for this guy. It is her least favorite actor. She just cannot stand Tom Cruise.
When she gets on the pod, we'll definitely have that
Yeah,
segment.
yeah. Are you a fan of his?
I don't. I not.
You're indifferent.
Not that I don't
You're-
like
you're
it. Yeah,
indifferent.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
indifferent. Gotcha.
Mhm.
You're indifferent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know enough about him as a person to be able to make a fair assessment. I know that he gets a bad rap because of Scientology.
Yeah.
And some of the antics with that. So
Hmm.
am I able to separate what I know, the little that I know about that versus what he produces as an
Yeah.
actor? Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't believe him to be an evil person, if that makes sense. I
Gotcha,
don't
yeah.
think he's doing
Sure.
anything. If I hear differently, it'll definitely affect the way that I view him as an
Sure.
actor.
Yeah.
But at the moment, just because he has certain beliefs, yeah, it could be kind of strange and I might not really understand them, but it doesn't affect me the way that I view him as an actor. So the
Yeah,
question
yeah.
is, was he a better actor when he was younger? Young Tom Cruise in his heyday in the 80s when he did Cocktail, Risky Business, he did freaking Rain Man, so many. Top Gun, obviously, right? The Outsiders. There's so many movies I could just list off, and he was just the king of, the 80s. And what's amazing is the fact that in the 2000s, 2023, 2024, he's still putting out
Yeah.
movies that people actually go to and enjoy. That's saying a lot, man.
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Obviously Top Gun, one of my favorite movies of all time. Okay, so
The
original one.
Okay.
But I also very much enjoyed part 2, only because I do feel like it was a true sequel, even though it was
Gotcha.
years apart. I feel like the way that they navigated the story made sense for that movie and that huge time lapse.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, one of my favorite franchises, though. The last one that he just did, so good.
Really?
So good.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a part 1, and I think I don't know how many more they got in them, but the part 2 is gonna be coming out in the next year or 2, and I'm really excited about it. But I still think he's performing as a high level as an actor. Don't tell my wife that I said that. But yeah. Okay. So last question here.
Yeah.
90% of diss tracks in rap are corny and kind of cringy, to be honest. Context. I'm a big fan of rap. None of the insults in 90% of diss songs could possibly offend the opposing rapper in any way unless the rapper in question is extremely sensitive. It also just reeks of insecurity, and it sounds really cringe to call it beef when rappers are just putting out childish insults into otherwise good verses instead of resolving their conflicts like normal, mature people.
Dang.
Okay, so the reason why I wanted to close this out is how much of this rap beef are you following currently?
I've only heard. Okay, so supposedly K. Dot did one first.
Oh, well, okay, so if you rewind back,
Okay.
this whole thing, I mean, just for everybody whoever's been living under a rock, major beef going on right now with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I'm so invested in it's embarrassing. I'm watching YouTube dissections of these verses to get more info on it. But to rewind back on it, Kendrick, when he first came out, when he first started out in the business, he actually went on tour with Drake. So Drake was actually one of the first people that hosted him on tour, and it appeared that they had a budding friendship. And I guess the more that Kendrick found stardom, it just started some conflict between them. As regards, I think it was always friendly in regards to like, okay, well now we are competitors. We are now, within this league that we are kind of pulling away from the pack with, right?
Yeah.
So from even 10 years back, they've already kind of had a lot of subs going back and forth.
Yeah.
kind of all came to fruition. I don't know if you ever heard Control by Big Sean.
Mm-mm.
Kendrick put out a verse on Control that kind of just was scathing because he called out everybody. Okay. And then I think in just terms of friendly competition, it wasn't really a dig at anybody. Personally, it was just kind of like calling everybody out. But for whatever reason, he kind of went a little bit more deeper on Drake. He called him the sensitive rapper and told him to put on his PJs and go back to bed. So I'm ad-libbing here, but that's essentially what he said. And then from there, it just kind of became a sub war. And if you actually go back on it, not to just be a Drake stan here, but like Drake's kind of tried to piece it up with K-Dot quite a bit. Like there's been multiple times where he's kind of extended an olive branch, and it seems to be like they're okay. The last time they were on a song together, I think was ASAP Rocky. I think that was the last song they were on together, and then after that, like it kind of just they went separate ways, and they've kind of just stayed out of each other's lane. But you could tell there was something brewing. So what ended up happening was J. Cole in First Person Shooter, which was a great song off of Drake's album. He kind of dubbed the term Big Three. Okay, so
Yes.
Kendrick, J. Cole, Drake. And then after that came out, Kendrick came out with his verse on Future's song like that, and basically was just like F the Big Three. It's just Big Me. And then it's kind of interesting, like like everybody who's not been following this or has been as invested, is probably like, where's all this energy coming from? And a lot of it is just the competition to rap. So back to this question, is it corny? Yeah, it's super corny, but I love it, man. This is entertainment for me. I mean, like people talk about what rap is in general. It's a competitive sport. Okay, so if you look at like the origins of rap, everybody was gunning for each other. Everybody wanted the title of best MC.
Yeah, sure.
And that was just the spirit of what rap and hip hop was. And over the years, it's definitely gotten watered down. It's gotten super watered down. Like the last major beefs that I can remember was probably the East Coast West Coast beef, and that ended in tragedy. So nobody wants that. And maybe, maybe just to be sensitive to everything going on, maybe that's why it kind of died down, right?
Sure.
Okay, because that ended in deaths. Right?
Yeah.
And then if you look at like kind of modern beef, Drake's kind of been in the middle of quite a few of them, right?
Yeah.
So aside from I can't speak enough on what's happening currently, like with Cardi, Nicki, and Megan, and all these other amazing female rappers. But like in regards to like what's happening with just like the big three and whatnot, yeah, like the last I think beef with Drake was with Pusha T. And everybody knows he's kind of had an ongoing feud with Kanye, who just threw his hat back in the ring. And man, he's Kanye's kind of picking sides here. But fast forward all that back to the Like That track with Future. Now we're here. Drake just released Push Ups. And I'm telling you, there are so many videos that you got to watch that are just breaking down the lyrics. And they are cutting deep.
Jeez.
Super deep. So when people say, oh, they're just trading childish insults, maybe, but
there's deeper meaning, right?
They do their research here.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as going too far? Probably. Are they getting towards that? Possibly. I think this is kind of just the warning shots right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see how far this goes, and hopefully it just doesn't end up into anything other than rap beef.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Because it's like they have this unwritten rule of how far you can go and whatnot.
Yeah, but they'll go there. If you listen to like just push-ups, I won't get into it because there's just so much. There's so many double and triple entendres in there. You can already see that he's got some dirt that he's gonna kind of uncover. So everybody's waiting for Kendrick's response right now because supposedly he's got a nuke that he's just gonna fire over there, and I think a lot of this really is just damage control. These guys are trying to get in front of it before something else happens, right?
Sure,
so
yeah.
I think the paranoia of it is like, oh man, I gotta either address this or attack this. And J. Cole, he got a lot of flack for what he did at the Dreamville Fest. And he apologized to Kendrick for what he released. I kind of fast forward a bit there, but he did the 7-minute drill, which was, I thought it was a pretty decent response, it was a little soft. I mean, in terms of rap beef goes, I love J. Cole, but I think he kind of has always been like upper road kind of guy. So even in his version of like a diss track, like it really wasn't all that in the sense of, I think you could tell that he genuinely has a friendship with this guy and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, he has a song off of Forest Hill Drives. I think it's called Fire Squad.
Okay.
I feel like he went harder on that, and that's to like random.
Yeah.
So I feel like he does have a friendship with.
He does.
So
he does.
Yeah, I feel like that's just an inside my head. Like he can go hard, but I don't think
what people are gonna wonder about after he apologized. I think people are wondering how deep Kendrick's gonna go on him because he already apologized, and if he goes deep, that might change people's opinions on Kendrick because like they're like, oh man, why you got to kick a guy down? But then there's some purists that are like, man, he kind of just showed his belly and you gotta attack. Like there are people that believe like it's merciless. Like you gotta just show people like what you're made of, and this isn't for everybody. I think that's kind of what like they're kind of exposing here, that in general, like we can keep this a rap thing. This does not need to spill over into the streets, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, like, hey man, like if we're going for who's the best MC, nothing is off limits, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. So because J. Cole bowed out, a lot of people believe that he was going to be the only one that could really confront Kendrick. I don't think people give Drake enough credit, and they don't realize like he's made for this. He really is. I think that Drake is built for this, and I'm kind of curious to see what the rebuttal is going to be, and then how far this is going to go along. And there's a lot of theories going on right now that this is all orchestrated, and these guys are all having a big laugh, about it because they're just selling records at this point. But if that's the case, then so be it. I just don't want to see anybody die.
Yeah, that's the main. I think that's the main thing. Have fun, guys. Just don't die.
Just don't die.
Just don't die. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was a random tangent here, but basically, yeah, man, if you want to hear more about it, just do a real quick search on Push-Ups by Drake, and you will see what he is talking about.
Yep. Well, that's gonna close it off for this episode. Man. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you next week. I think. Yeah.
We'll try.
Yeah. All right, guys. Peace.